This conference will now be recorded.
Call to order the regular June 2nd, 2025 council meeting to order at 6:30 PM. All rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight? Oh, anyone like to make a motion?
So move to accept the agenda as written, Mr. Mayor.
So moved by Councilor Webb. Is there a second?
No, second it.
Seconded by Councilor Weller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Motion carried. No mayor's report today. Any presentations? No. Council committee meeting reports. Go ahead, yeah.
Public Works Committee met on the 27th of May. Pretty much went over all the topics. We've been, the street philosophy workshop, we talked about that, and the sewer loan discussion and sewer project, public to hearing. Josette was at our meeting and we kind of went over the public works projects. The more of the not our list, but kind of the major, any physical ones for this year that we're have in the budget. So, that's pretty much it. They're still talking, they're going to put out a quarterly newspaper article. So, and still looking at new projects to chew on.
Looked like the crack sealing was going really well, Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crack sealing project. It looks like we'll be doing some more.
Doing some more. Good.
Yeah. On the monitor, see how well that holds up.
Where are they doing it at now?
Well, they aren't.
After July 1, we're going to go
Yeah.
finish up bridge and then go across on the other side of Rock Creek.
Will they finish up State Street on that
Bridge?
bridge?
Yes, bridge is part of the,
Or not State Bridge. We ain't doing anything to State Street.
not until we get some money.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dale. Any other committees?
We had the Parks Committee meeting last Wednesday, the 28th. Jeff Gruner, is that the
The
E-bike?
talk e-bikes. Mhm.
They're going to move it from the Shea Park to Anderson Park,
Oh,
get it more in streamline with the bike path. That was discussed. Also, there was concern about cutting grass out of the airport park to access the river better. Apparently it's grown in, so that was talked about. Also, the park host was here from Anderson Park because there was some discussion about perhaps the park wasn't being maintained as well as some thought, and he assured that it would be kept mowed. And he was encouraged to, if got behind for any reason, to call the park committee and ask for help. So I think that was pretty much. There was discussion about a lifeguard, and they're going to talk with, was it Jim, I believe?
Yeah, Jim Hellman.
Jim Hellman, and get some ideas from Jim as far as using some of the school kids to help with that. So that was going to be discussed, I believe, at the next meeting after more information was gathered. So that's pretty much.
yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dennis.
Mhm.
Any library?
No.
Meetings, okay. All right, thank you. So any topics from the floor tonight? None. Set agenda for acceptance. Consent agenda for approval. City council meeting minutes for May 19th, 2025. Any discussion or questions on that last council meeting? Anyone like to make a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
I'll move to accept the city council meeting minutes for May 19th, 2025.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Norman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Any unfinished business? Moving right along to new business, Jamboree request. Found on page 3 through 6. Before we get started on that discussion, I'm going to recuse myself from the discussion as I have a potential conflict of interest as my new business, the Halem Valley Shuttle, will monetarily possibly benefit from that. So I'm going to turn it over to our council president, Dale Webb, to lead that discussion.
All right.
He's like, okay then.
I also want to mention I'd had a very brief ex parte discussion with John Schwartz, just informing him to make sure they came prepared for the meeting. Maybe some questions on the food vendor situation, and I didn't want it to drag out. So cross your T's and dot your I's, and I see his wife's here tonight. All right. So we got the special event permit from the Jamboree Committee, I assume. Anybody have any concerns, I guess? We need to have does staff have any concerns?
If you guys have all had a chance to read it, if not, then they can present it. Otherwise, you can just start with questions.
Do you want them to present the idea or whatever?
Or have you had a chance to?
I guess the only real change, I think we're all familiar with how they've normally, maybe I should ask you, what are the changes for this year's event? Would probably be the easiest.
Should I stand? Do I sit?
Sure.
You can come to the dais there, Natalie, that'd be fine.
So there are not too many changes. We do have a much fuller board, so we have a few more hands in the basket. We are trying to start a little more centrally this year because we are starting late and we do have new people. So we are trying to start at Spencer Park and work our way out. So our original plan, if we only have vendors for Spencer Park, would be to have our food vendors in the parking area by the skate park and then that gravel area in the back. We do know the easement for emergency vehicles and how they have to have the straightaway through. So it could be a temporary barricade right there at the entrance to the skate park. But other than that, there are not any big logistical changes. Softball is still on the schedule. We'll still have vendors in Spencer Park as well as possible music. We will not have the car show in Spencer Park, but we will have a kids zone and there will be a motorcycle show. We also have WANA working with us and Brooke as well. So there will be events in the WANA parking lot. There will be events at the pet stores parking lot on their private property, as well as the senior center has some things going on. So we'll be advertising for all of that to pull through the town, but those are the changes.
So how is the ingress, egress for the base softball players?
And just right beside where the grandstands used to be on the right, it's
which that area has been
But,
for the last 3 years.
yeah, but isn't that where the vendor row is gonna be?
I don't know, ask her.
The easement that I was given is that as you drive through, that whole driveway straight through back to Greenman Field and the entrance gate there to go out to the field, like for light or emergency vehicles, needs to remain open, except for a temporary barricade.
That's
So,
our access.
so most of your people will be in place before the vendors set up? Because my only concern would be pedestrians in between.
It's no difference than it has been for the last 2 years where the vendors would be set up out where the high school used to be in that area in that open spot. We come down alongside the skate park. That's the main access. Josette and I have discussed that we have some open areas at the other end that they can come in, but those are closed by Friday night. So that once they're in, they're in, and there isn't traffic that goes in and out. However, last year, Josette made the suggestion, and it didn't work out very well, where we went out at the very end of where Washington Grade School was, and we come out to that far park just below the hill there, and that worked out perfect. I mean, it put people completely out of everything, so the cars could turn and head for St. Helens or, go back to town, but it got them, they didn't drive through everything else. So that worked out to be a very good idea.
And our vendors do not start setting up any earlier than 6 a.m. on Friday. So there is time that softball's coming in prior to when our vendors arrive. Or would arrive.
It's a key point that we want to be sure there is an area around, what did you call it, a anniversary park where you were putting in the.
Yeah, so it's where the senior exercise is right now.
Yeah.
That's where that's going in, that we're going to put stuff around it so they don't drive over it, because it's now going to have equipment in it by Jamboree.
We roped it off last year, so it all works pretty well. The road that goes down where the track is and heads out behind Washington Green School, that all is just an access until the tournament starts and then it shuts down.
Did you say there was some damage done to one of the memorials already?
Yeah, that's in that memorial where we're going to cordon it off now. And then they did run over a tree, but they replaced it. Somebody backed over. Yeah, that's more behind the girls softball. And we'll probably just put some barricades around those so people stay away from them.
Well, we had it barricaded last year and they all,
Yeah,
we even barricaded.
the year before that they hit it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just 2 years ago. So that's the first thing.
Any other?
So I just have, so we're talking about, because we don't have a map, but we're talking about having no food vendors on Adams.
Correct.
And so all the food vendors are going to have their backs to the skate park. Is that right?
That would be logistically, yes, and then that would
And
be
so-
face outwards and so.
So the concern I have, just from an insurance perspective for the city, is if they're not hard-sided, if it's not just a food truck, a skateboard comes flying off into the tent and like the noodle fire, like that's my concern, insurance-wise.
And I have a concern about food debris ending up in the skate park, which it obviously will.
When it's no food right now. We don't allow food or drinks in the skate park, and the kids have been pretty good with that because it soils and it seeps into the cement and it's hard to get off. And so the kids kind of stay in the grass at the picnic tables with their food. They've done a pretty good job of that. And those are our two concerns about having food right next to it, is that it's going to be really hard for them not to want to just walk over there with their slushies, nachos, whatever. I have one other thing. Has anyone talked to the Lions? Because they're going to be like odd man out sitting by the dental office by themselves with like nothing, no other food to draw like the crowds there.
There may not be food, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to utilize Shea Park for something to have a draw there. It's a really nice size space that we could even have a stage and have music where one of the things that we ran into last year also with the food vendors being there is when they would close, those temporary barricades were moved and people would drive through. We had our president who had a close call himself and asked Carnahan about it, but we did not have a picture to be able to make an official report of the person. And I myself personally had our booth ran through and we had to kick people out. So we would like to have something there and utilize the space and have a draw through town with having items and activities at WANA, as well as we're not running anything at the senior center, but there and at the pet store. We'd also like to offer some sort of advertisement through town, as well as a stamp card that we've got. So we're using it, but we're not using it for food per se. And then when we talk about food vendors over in Spencer Park, if we need to have some sort of backdrop behind those vendors, if that's a requirement, we can do that. I know that there's multiple other events that are over in Spencer Park that don't necessarily stop kids from walking over there to also put their garbage in the skate park. We work with the Boy Scouts and they are hired to work for us and clean up all the garbages through the entire event. So they have volunteers that go and they check all of them. We will have more garbage cans this year, as well as recycle spaces for those kids to pick up. So it will be being monitored. And we heard, from my understanding, great things of how clean it was left last year.
Logistically, when you say you're moving from Adams Street, and I go on my whole history, was arrangements made for power and electricity over in that area because West Oregon at one time set up a bunch of power distribution down there for the food vendors. And if that's not been made arrangements for all those food vendors, all of a sudden you're going to have a whole host of looking for electricity and no way to hook up.
Correct. So we are working on getting some sponsors as well to cover the run quiet generators and things if we will have those vendors down there, because we ran into that as a problem last year with our kids zone and the generators were not run quiet. So then we also had some vendors that were not very happy with the noise that they had to deal with.
So I feel like we had close calls with cars and now we're inviting them to drive through there all night, right?
Not if we also do the temporary barricades and still have the hay bales, but then there's no people and the only damage or things to move would be those hay bales.
No, but I'm saying where someone drove through when everyone closed, what's going to stop someone from driving through the skate park?
The skate park will have the temporary barricade as well.
Oh.
But it's also the emergency easement. So there's no, I mean, it's a little safer, I would assume, in a park than on a city street with a temporary barricade.
Would it help to define what kind of barricade you're talking as far as?
Well, usually we supply them.
Correct. The stand words.
Well, are we talking the same thing though? You were concerned about a skateboard flying into one of the.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about it for a number of reasons. For the debris and the grease and the oil that's going to be on that, where it's not really the same surface as like street sweeping Adams. That's pretty chowdered up because it's old high school parking and skateboard parking and gravel. And we can't street sweep that to like clean anything off of it. And we can't put it back because it's in the flood. So I'm just thinking like those are all the things running in my head. I don't know what, I think if we're a go and there are tents, I'd probably have to ask insurance what they'd want to see so that and not even that a kid would get hurt, but the person cooking, if hot stuff came at them, that's like super nerve-wracking with all of the activity. I don't know. That's just me though.
Is it because it would maybe be oil? Because we have used barbecues in that area before. I know that Cody has sold food out of there for his things, and for when I was on Boosters, we did do a barbecue right there.
Yeah, but it's not the same amount. I mean, and is it because you don't have very many food vendors that you're trying to consolidate? Because if you have the exact same amount, I can't see how they all fit there with the emergency path and all the campers coming in down there while the people are trying to set up. It seems like really concentrated there. And I don't know, because of one near miss, I'm not hearing like a huge value. I'm hearing like lions are going to be parked out there by themselves with maybe music going on there. The logging show people are going to have to walk all the way down there. And so will your vendors get the sales they want? It just seems like, I don't know. It's just, that's where I'm going in my head. A lot of questions in my head. I don't know.
I'll offer you one suggestion, because I'll be sitting with the board of directors at the fire district tomorrow night. They may look at an alternative site to use for, if they need a little landing zone for lifeline, they may talk to Jim Helm at the school and see if
Okay.
they use the football field where it's less congestion, safer.
Yeah, they'd still have to get them out in an ambulance, but yeah.
Sir in the back.
Rob. So I'm president of Jamboree.
Okay.
It's not 1 year miss. That's what I keep hearing is 1 year miss.
Well, that's all you've said.
I know, because past people have not stepped up to try to do the safety thing, which is our goal is safety. Every year we've had somebody drive through there. Maybe not come close to hitting somebody, but they drive through there. And what they do is they drive from this road back here up this way. If we put it all together, it's more safe. We have, like she said, security. I ran kids out of my tent last year. Other people did too. We have security for Spencer Park we can use. And I would much rather see us have to block off one end of something than both ends. And I darn sure do not want to see somebody get hit. Because that's where we're headed.
But you guys haven't ever came to the city and said, we want concrete barricades.
That's just what I was thinking, when they use something more.
Yeah, we have lots of types. I'm saying there's ways to solve it if it's not, I get what you're saying, how you want it kind of all in one place, but to me, that feels very not community wide when it's not spread out. It feels like if you're not willing to go where all those people are, all that activity is, I think a lot of people in town pop down to Adams to get their noodles, but they're not interested in going to vendors, or they're not going to go to the logging show. And so I worry about your vendors, it turning people off from having to either park far away and walk in and not have it as conveniently accessible. I don't know why I feel that way, but I just worry that they won't have the sales that you're hoping they will, because people won't want to come with all of the congestion.
It also moves them a lot further away from Anderson and the logging show as well.
Because it's when the food's on Adams, it's across from the logging show. It's down the street from the horse thing. It's down the street from the softball. When you move it all there, then those two groups either are going to start wanting to bring their own food in to those parks, which I know they have a small refreshments at the logging show, but not full on food. And then the horse people might want to have their own food close to them. I'm just thinking out loud.
And I understand that, and we've thought about it and talked in depth about it. I just keep going.
Well, and currently we have started behind and we don't have very many vendors. I personally, at that point, that's why I kind of mentioned building from a central point and out. If we only have right at this moment in time 5 food vendors, I don't want 5 people over here on Adams, maybe 15 people in Spencer Park. For us, we are a pretty new board of people, and it hasn't necessarily been handed down to anybody in a nice, clean, seamless way.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of starting from scratch, and I don't want to give something that's partial here and partial there. If we have enough vendors to expand and fill that up, I would love to, but we still want to utilize it, and we still want to draw people through town. So we do have those conversations going with the local businesses, working on a scavenger hunt and things to draw people through the businesses, as well as some of the other activities that we have going on through town. So I would personally like to be able to say that for the vendors we do have security for your area at night. We do have Ron with the American Legion is working with his group, and they will be monitoring all of the vendors and going through the tents at night. so that they will be, our vendors will have badges. They'll be able to tell who's supposed to be there or not. But they don't have enough yet when we don't have enough vendors to warrant more volunteers to then travel across over to Adams.
Okay, so that just, I'm sorry. I guess I should have talked to you guys earlier. So that concerns me a little bit because what right do those security people have to do anything?
To ask people out of a vendor's booth, so.
Right, but say they don't, they say no.
We didn't have any trouble with them last year. I don't know.
No, what I'm saying is if they're wearing a badge or something, they're not the police. They're not
No,
the,
that's not what I meant. I apologize.
Okay.
The vendors will be wearing a lanyard that says their booth in there to show they can
okay.
go in and out.
I thought you meant the security had badges and I was like,
I apologize.
you might have a little issue.
No,
Okay.
nothing that makes them look as if they're.
They could just notify the police something's happening.
Correct. And
Okay,
they can
okay.
ask someone
Okay.
without a lanyard, a badge.
Okay.
Wrong choice of phrase. To remove themselves from the
Okay.
area they're not allowed to be in.
So what is your guys', say some crazy thing happens and you get all these food vendors.
Mhm.
Is there a trigger point where you would move it back to Adams if you had a certain number? Because eventually, I mean, the other kind of weird thing is I know a lot of people are used to being able to come by the skate park and park to go watch games for softball. How will those people now, where will they go? Because we're going to have the little gravel lot full of Brown's equipment. I'm working with them to secure it if they're not on our weekends, so it's fully fenced with temporary fencing. But where will those people go that want to watch it during the day?
I don't currently have a location completely nailed down, but that is one thing that I was talking with the mayor about and why he removed himself from the conversation. He has a shuttle business. And so we're looking at possibly a location or two and then being able to offer 1 or 2 stops around town to then offer people a ride through, whether it is they have paid for it or it's something that we offer. We're not completely there yet.
Okay.
But that's something that we're looking at because we considered it even with the congestion. We weren't sure about construction
Yeah.
and that parking lot or any extra parking lot in town.
Right.
So we're just trying to progress.
And for actually the last 2 years, they haven't been able to use it to park anyway. We've been using it for vendors.
Not the back gravel.
No, the gravel. we-
Yeah, all the way down to the gravel. We actually had the back gravel blocked off last year by the Leatherworks guy. Nobody could get in there because we had it blocked off because we had so many vendors last year that it overflowed into that area. That was not available for parking. It went axe throwing, t-shirts, all sorts of stuff down both sides of that road.
But now, not only will that parking not be available, but also the parking across the street is not available. So there is no parking for people who want to go softball or food vendors or the other vendors.
So can you refresh, I might have missed this and I'm sorry if it, what is the reason for moving it from Adams?
Because of how late we're starting, we do not have very many vendors yet. We don't have the same vendor coordinator that we had last year. We don't have the same vice president that we had last year, and we had a lot less hands in the basket. So trying to start from one central location and build out is kind of where we're at with how many people we have to help us.
I'd like to offer one observation. I don't think it'll get in the way of my conflict of interest, if you will, but
You can't, sorry, you can't participate.
okay.
Any other
Sorry.
comments? Susan?
So first of all, I've been where you guys are, and so I completely understand the amount of work you're doing, and thank you for that. Stepping up is not easy, particularly when you end up having less people and starting late. Totally have been there. I think there is, I understand your thinking. So quick question. So vendors, food vendors, you said you have maybe 5 now.
Mhm.
What about other vendors? The vendors like for the,
We have a total of 29 on the list right now.
in the past, I know that we've been through good times and bad, so to speak, with that. This event where we have been down to, I think, maybe not three, very few food vendors. There is a reason to stay where they are. I understand you're trying to make it more centralized and make it easier for people, but consistency has always, from my experience, been important because people expect it to be in a certain place, even if there's only 3 or 4 or 5 food vendors and the Lions. I presume the Lion, I don't know if Lions are one of your 5. You may still get more, and honestly, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing having less food vendors in that one spot. Your job is not easy, and I don't want to step into it at all as far as saying you should or should not do something, but just having the consistency of having it in the same place. I am not sure is a bad plan, but definitely it sounds like having better barriers at both ends of the street is probably a really good idea. Because I've actually, in one of those years when it was shorter, I turned up that street and it's like, oh, wait, I can't do that because there's people there. So it was a lot of years ago. But that would just be my thought is kind of staying with tradition if it's at all possible. That would be kind of my preference. And I'm sorry, like I said, I hate stepping on your toes because it's like, well, then you should volunteer and help. I might do that.
Has anyone talked to Lions?
I have not personally.
So
It's a conversation we can have. If it got approved, we could tell Lions, yeah, you guys could just have an outdoor green set up. That's not.
But I think they're not going to want to move. I mean, that's the thing is you're taking something that's had like repetitive placement of things. People know, oh, you go there for barbecue beef sandwiches, you go there for this, you go there for that. And it's like when they change up the state fair and you go and you're like, where the heck are the exhibits? And it doesn't make you want to come back. That's my concern for you guys, is you're trying to squish it all into one park for security. And my fear is your vendors won't want to come back because they won't make good receipts.
Question, is one of the concerns of security lighting?
We didn't have that as a like direct concern, but it's been with the people driving through. So I don't know if lighting would
Is there,
change that or not.
I think it's more the security of the vendors that are in the park.
no, I understand.
With items, because most food vendors, you're not going to go in there and try and cook your own noodles.
No.
You never know.
A couple of our things.
No, they just go in there and ransack stuff.
But do you have evidence of that? Because that's the thing. I don't want any maybes. I want real evidence of things that we're trying to solve, because I feel like a lot of it is we're saying the maybes and the could-haves, and we're going to change something that historically I think is not going to be good for you guys. And I ran Salmon Festival for 20 years. Change is not, Vernonia is not a place where change benefits you if you can help it. And I'm not saying that like you might not be successful. I'm just saying that's what the community's expectation is that you have the same events, you have them where there are, that you do all the things. And I think it could be a negative turning point if you start changing it all. They might not come. They might drive by Spencer Park fully packed with 29 vendors and food and softball and kids skating and games and just be like, oh, heck no, I'm not even gonna approach it. And I think the community is a good amount of your revenue. And that's my concern.
And I understand that you keep asking me for evidence for stuff, and like we've talked before, my own eyes should be evidence enough.
But you don't have evidence that someone went in and ransacked unless you have a statement from the owner of the thing saying.
It was mine.
Make a report.
I didn't make a report because every time I tried to talk to the police about anything, and I didn't want to go here, but I'm going to, you have to have pictures. I was too busy chasing these 20-something-year-olds out of all the tents to be pulling out my phone and taking pictures.
But I think there's ways to collaborate. Say you get more than 5 vendors and you get 10 or 8 or some number that triggers it needing to go back to where it was so it's not super congested. There's ways to collaborate with the police and ask them, we have the state police come and help us. Your area could be a patrol. Let's just deter people from doing that by presence. I mean, that's the communication thing, I think, that maybe if that was happening, it didn't get to me. And if it had gotten to me, I would have directed the police to do patrols inside. Right? I mean, so there's ways to solve the problems that way if you guys ultimately do it in Spencer Park. We can easily, so then you don't have to have a local group being security because police are walking and milling about and it's not worth it to someone to mess with someone's stuff.
They're hanging out by the bars anyways.
Right.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Mr. Weller.
Just one last thing, just to reiterate, logistic. I know there was a lot of infrastructure put in on Adams Street to provide for electric services for those vendors. And I know West Oregon, you might even work for them at the time, was involved in that. To logistically move that and ask a power company to do that at the last minute here, a month and a half out. I think you're asking an awful lot.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Steve, just before you get too excited, there are 2 drops, one on each side. That's all they put in. The drops have to be brought in by a professional electrician. West Oregon doesn't touch anything. They didn't do anything glamorous to that whole area. And the power that they're asking to move is to move it with generators. So West Oregon's not involved in any. So there's nothing for them to do. The drops will still be there. We've left them there the last several years. But
You're still talking, you have to put potentially some drops over the other side.
no,
All these vendors know that they gotta bring their own gen sets.
We're going to rent a diesel run quiet genset.
we have the
There you go. Communication, clarity of what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what she meant by,
Okay.
we had talked about renting a big diesel run quiet.
All right. Sounds like we've had some pretty good discussion. Susan?
On that note, just to confirm,
Mhm.
you will be responsible for all of the power.
If we move everything to Spencer, yes, we would have to get, electrical and supply it for our vendors.
But they're still probably using the plug-in at the back of the snack shack.
No,
You're not using jump boxes?
not off that. We'll use them off the generator.
The spider boxes that would come off the generator.
So I think regardless, staff is asking that you approve this recommendation, but move the vendors back to Adams and staff will provide barricades. I think that's the root of our request.
Or we come back to the next meeting with a map because outlining what insurance said about the food vendors, what the barricades would look like, where your generator would be placed, where the garbage would be placed. Because where's that 30-yard dumpster going? It can't be on Adams if there's no, does that make sense?
The map I've given you before, which unfortunately, we have, the way we had it drawn is that little area right next to the snack shack.
That goes, that's the road that goes into the park? Okay.
So the snack shack sits here. It would be back, the dumpster would be here, the generator would be here. Out of the way, everybody could still drive through there.
So I feel like maybe we should, Natalie and I should work on a map and bring it back. And then you could better have a picture of what they're really asking. And what our insurance would say, if they are tent backed, what the requirement would be before you decide. I think that's only fair for these guys to get a real picture of it.
And then,
Instead of just outright making them move it, let's see if they only have 5 vendors and they can meet all the expectations and it all fits there, then that could be their choice to do that as the festival. there are concerns, but those aren't concerns that should stop the city for allowing them should they meet all the expectation. Does that?
And you're gonna check with the insurer?
Yeah, well, once we draw a map up, I'm going to ask Alicia, send it to our insurance and say, if this is a soft-sided tent, what would you want to see if it's this close to the skate park so that we aren't somehow second in line of a lawsuit if someone gets burned or something? You know, what would they want to, or maybe where it's closest to the skate park proper, that's where you place food trucks. And then the tented things are further away from the risk or something, right? I mean, there's ways to do that. I just don't know exactly what they're thinking on paper because I can't see it.
So next meeting gives everybody plenty of time?
Yeah, it's going to be a packed meeting.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to table.
Do we want to table or tentatively approve with review?
I think we don't exactly know anything of how, what they need from the city. And right, I wouldn't tentatively approve it because then what if you don't agree? Let's just table it and work on it. And yeah, that gives us plenty of time. I can get with them, get the map laid out, get where the dumpster placement would be, where the generator placement would be, so that everybody makes sure we're not stepping on something.
When you guys have a meeting this weekend, right?
We could do the map and maybe do a preliminary one you can take to your meeting and make sure everyone still concurs before we bring it to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you making the motion to table it then?
Well, I can't make, well, I might,
Yes, you can.
guess I could, but
I moved to.
I just wanted to have one comment before we move forward. It's kind of an awkward process here. These people step up to run this jamboree for us and then kind of rain on them here. I'm trying to think of how we communicate a little better into the future. I mean, because.
I communicated my thoughts to them. They knew my concerns
Okay.
ahead of time. So.
And it's our job to
know that I needed to have a map though. I know that we had spoken that you were going to help me with that, but I did not know I needed that for this, or I would have had it this evening.
We did not believe that we needed a map for tonight because the spaces were all the same.
Yeah, and a lot of times we do ask for maps on special events. I know another request
Yeah, because the reality is the community, we're letting them use the public area. So it's good to see what areas they want to use and what's happening in the different areas. It's not going to be hard to do. We can do it.
All right. I'll make a motion to table this decision for the Jamboree request for their application of special use or whatever it is. Table it to the next council meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you for all coming all tonight. Oh, did you have a second?
Yeah.
Wagner.
Susan, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Then motion.
One abstention.
He's not even there.
Oh, okay.
He's not even there. Now he's back.
Now I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you. Any ordinances and resolutions? No, not tonight. Correspondence. Oh, city administrator.
So we're still on DEQ's timeline for the testing. I don't know how long the cybersecurity stuff takes, but I sent Ian another message asking, do you have an ETA when you're going to test the well up there? Brown Construction will be completing the ramps they've started, paving what needs to be paved, and then they will be moving to Forest Grove for night work on Highway 8. They may not be back here until September, which kind of works for our events, July and Jamboree, and get clean ramps, no barricades, walkability. And then we did request, the police department was adamant that they need to temporary security fence their lot because we won't know who has permission to go in there and we don't want their stuff taken in the dark of night, someone taking a little bit of gravel every night until the pile's really low. And then I did take pictures of all the stuff that exists because in our May 27th meeting, they said that they were hoping to have Vernonia buttoned up for them to bail out of here till September by the 30th of May. Well, it's the 2nd of June. We still have 3 ramps that have huge divots that need to be paved for 4th of July and Jamboree. One of them being one of the most important ones is the one right at the bridge.
Yeah.
It's still got a huge danger for traffic and pedestrians. So I'll get a better, clearer answer tomorrow, I'm sure, when I show them the pictures and share my screen. The senior exercise path, we got the cedar chips staged around and they're going to be installing the elements. And then we might need some more cedar chips. So we're going to be working out the amount we need to keep the 4 inches that you're supposed to have. And the preparation for Memorial Day and then the rainy weather kind of prohibited them from doing that work. Mitch got pulled off to prep for Memorial Day at the cemetery, so he couldn't do it. And it really is a Tim and Mitch job. We have the city council next on the 16th, and then we are closed on June 19th in observance of Juneteenth, and on Friday, July 4th for observance of Independence Day. You guys have any questions for me?
Any concerns with Brown moving out?
No, I think the state made some pretty tight requirements for Highway 8 that they can only do at night. They can only close Highway 8 in the evening. And so that changed their whole thing because they know here they can hit and miss a sidewalk ramp they're going to have to repave and do huge sections of Highway 8. And so I think they just made the determination to move. But I was like, so when are you coming back? You're going to get 22 ramps done in 60 days? That's amazing. But how will that happen? So, and they said they're all over the state with their crews. So if they get a crew freed up, they may come back earlier than that. But they do have all the dates of the weekends and weeks to avoid because of high attendance of things, 4th of July and Jamboree. And so they just said they may have a crew come back. And I said, well, then pull up. The other thing why I took pictures and why I'm going to share them is that they left the barricades along the sidewalk edge where they're done with ramps. And we've repetitively had kids knock them over. And so my guys are standing them back up so they're not in lanes of traffic. And that's just not our job. So those need to be cleaned up and secured and dealt with. So.
Does that mean they'll leave their equipment here that long too?
Yeah, they'll leave the concrete plant and they're just going to have to fence it with temporary fencing and locks so that the police can drive around it and know nobody should be in there. They'll have to secure their stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Josette.
Yep.
Items from the mayor and councilors. I've got a couple things. We had a nice Memorial Day service last Monday, and unfortunately we weren't blessed with a flyover due to weather and low clouds, and there was even some hail in the clouds. The major did call me in the afternoon and apologized. We weren't the only city that they bypassed. Springfield also was scheduled to be on the flyover list, and they couldn't make it there either.
I would love it if they could just re-up our application to fly over Spencer Park for 4th of July. That would be awesome Independence Day, but I know it's not that easy.
But we had a nice service nevertheless, and a nice bagpiper came from Astoria, and it's a real nice service. And thank you for the city and their part in putting it on. It was real nice. Most of you noticed we have a new sign as you come into Vernonia. The trees are going to be added tomorrow. on each post. So really excited about that. And so, yeah, I think it looks really good. And it was really nice that we utilized 3 businesses in Columbia County, Pacific Stainless in St. Helens, Digital Graffiti in Scappoose, and they actually put the wrap on. And then the designers were from Portland State of Assembly, but they designed it and sent all the artwork over to Joe at Digital, and then he put the wrap on. And Tony from Pacific Stainless delivered it on Thursday morning, free. And we had a pretty good crew putting it up. So, yeah, I'm really happy with it. So, and that's all I have. Any other counselors have anything? Susan?
I do, a couple things. There was a letter that came in yesterday to our emails from a student or a young person into our city emails regarding transportation and how upset they are. And I wasn't sure if you were going to respond or.
I did see it. I haven't
Okay.
responded yet.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just.
I think they just sent it to you guys.
Yes, it was to the counselors.
Yeah.
It did not go to you at all.
Okay.
Do you want
No.
to forward it or?
No, I'm fine. I just was telling you, we didn't get it.
Okay.
Don't expect us to respond.
Also in our email was invitation to the League of Oregon Cities Conference in, I believe it's October in Portland. One of my favorite venues down there. I learned a lot at the April conference, and I appreciate the council supporting me and going. A couple of things that they really brought forward to us as counselors and as community representatives was the importance of communication. For instance, reports from like the police department, not just we had this many calls, but, and I talked to Josette about this first, making a positive impact saying, we met with these people, I had this encounter with somebody, and it doesn't all have to be great and jolly and wonderful, but to let our community members from our departments know the positive things that are going on, because we don't hear, we appreciate all y'all coming and sticking around. But most people they get their information a little bit from Scott, but it would be really beneficial to our community to understand that it's not just the officer sitting in the office 12 hours a day and not doing anything or just going on calls, that they're doing outreach, that they're going to the school or they're participating in the celebration of sending the kids to state, that kind of thing. It was pointed out for that. Also, proper procedure in meetings. We do a really, really good job here in Vernonia. After talking to some of my peers from other cities, like Toledo, look it up. If you don't know about it, I was flabbergasted at some of the other cities and the problems they've had and what they've had to deal with. And just really important to be aware, not just of actual things we do, but perception of what we do. So, and proper etiquette with staff and council. The other reason I'm bringing it up is they're offering scholarships again. If anybody else wants to go, I'm happy to support you in your endeavor. I think it's important if you can. I would like to go again. I got a lot of it. I think as much meeting our peers is as much a part of it as just learning little tidbits. It was just a great experience and I really highly recommend it. So I would like council's support to send somebody or multiple somebodies. If nobody else wants to go, I would be happy to put my 2 cents in for the scholarship request. and I can confirm the date. Stephanie, do you have it per chance?
No.
Okay, let me look it up.
I got that email today, I think.
Yeah, I think we all did. Orphan cities.
Can I, while you're looking that up, can I say something? Also, if you're going to put something about who helped with the Memorial Day ceremony, Mr. Hellman had, and I can get you the names, but there were 6 high school boys that showed up and put the big flags around the outside edge. Staff got the middle row done, but that's all we could really do with the time and effort we had. And they came and he bribed them with pizza, but he said they would come even if they didn't get pizza, but they did get pizza. Yeah, that was a neat, we were made pretty quick work of it.
Did we communicate with him this could be an annual thing?
Well, we were hoping, it's hard though, because, that a lot of them, the football team couldn't participate because a lot of them were dual tracks athletes, and they were so busy going to districts and state that they couldn't make time to do it.
It's going to be October 2nd through 4th.
Hunting season.
Deer season.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't do that, so I guess I'll have to see for all y'all.
October 2nd. Thanks, Sue.
Excuse me. All medic.
So,
Go ahead, Dale.
I was going to ask staff, we did have another letter sent to us about the meter.
I didn't get it.
Oh, you didn't get it? I don't,
I thought they were going to come tonight about parking on the meter and getting the.
parking on the meter.
Yeah.
Oh.
We told them to come to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I had documentation ready to show them. They were upset because they said, they pulled up their ring cam and said, we weren't parked on it on the 24th. And I said, the ordinance says from the 20th to the 25th, the meter has to be exposed because that's the grace period that the meter reader can come. And they pulled it up on the 20th and their car was parked there. And I said, then you're going to have to come talk to council because that's a policy we just have as staff to follow. So if someone would like to forward it to me, I could respond to them.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
And either.
I checked this morning, not this afternoon.
So maybe only you got it, Dale.
Special.
Oh, look, I thought,
That could very well be the case.
Maybe it went into my like clutter or something, depending on where they're sending it from, but I didn't see it in my normal inbox. I'll look though.
and my only thoughts on that too is it is the process. You have to come before council and
Right.
basically file a complaint.
Right.
So.
We told them. I mean, we're like, we as staff can't go against the policy. You have to go to the higher ups.
Anybody else? One more thing, Scott. Carvin Marvin is going to come over tomorrow and kind of watch. He helped me carve the trees.
Okay.
He's going to be there in the morning. So if you're not doing anything, come on down. And I'd like for you to meet him. Yeah, at the sign site.
I've met him before.
Okay, good. Yeah. So,
About what time?
10 o'clock would be a good time to come down.
Well, I did get a funny picture, and it said we put a target up, and the picture showed the log truck that cracked.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gee.
I told the driver of that truck, and it's just that far. Channel 6 News tonight.
Lucky it worked out pretty good for him, so. Anybody else? Okay, action item summary, Joseph.
So I have I'm going to look for the letter that Counselor Webb got. And then I'm going to work with Natalie to come up with a map that she can take to her group, and then we'll revisit their request on the 16th. That's all I have for action.
Okay. Well, thank you all for attending tonight and look forward to seeing you again on the 16th? Okay. So with that said, I'll adjourn this meeting at 7:30 PM. Meeting adjourned.